Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new video. This one is a flip through. This is day 2 of San Francisco. So everything I put together for that second day is in here. And I have a mix of different sizes of pages, different styles, and we fit in a lot. So this is quite a chunky part of the album. So to start off with, we went to the Japanese tea garden as our first stop that morning. So you can see it was a little overcast to start off that day. And I just used some digital cutouts that I had that were themed. They were the best thing I could find that matches with the photo, so I went with it and I did just like a little ink splattering, nothing too major, and it's simple but I like it. I have several layouts of the garden, so here's another layout, just some different things you can see once you're really more into the interior of the garden. And I was kind of mad at myself at first on this day because I'm like, oh my god, I wore purple jacket because it was a little chilly, and I thought it's gonna clash with everything. It actually ended up looking okay here. So now you know, like red and purple, you can do it together. It's not bad. And then here's some more. I loved this bridge. It was gorgeous. Then I had this card with this kind of funky background on it, and it wasn't perfectly matched to this, but pretty close. So I thought, well, you know what, if I have it, I'm gonna use it. I'd rather use it than hoard it, so it got used. And then this I did stamping. These are 2 separate stamps. I did this one first, and then I fit the phrase in there. And again, this is another cutout from a digital set. I loved that it was red because then it matched what was behind us. And I got to use purple paper since I had this. They matched. And again, I did some ink splattering to match all the green that was in here. Put a little rhinestone on there to match, and that one was good. And then we left the tea garden, and basically right next door to that is the De Young Museum. And it's mostly more contemporary art, but there were a few things in there we wanted to see. And then this is just in a big park that's like right outside the De Young. So we went there first and sort of just walked around, looked at the pretty flowers, looked at the fountain. This is stamping that I did here. And then we went inside the museum. They did have a little cafe in there, and I badly needed some coffee. And I thought, okay, if we're gonna sit down and do this, I'll have a little snack too. So I had a scone and some coffee, and then I was really like in a better mood and ready to go and look at some art. And there was actually a Paul McCartney photography exhibit there at this time, and we originally thought we were going to go, so we're like, that sounds cool, we'll go. Yeah, it was so expensive. We're like, you know what, we don't care that much, we'll just do the regular museum. And they had some beautiful sculptures in there. I just kept simple phrase there. And then we found some Chihuly pieces. I knew they had a couple, and so I was like, okay, even if I don't see anything else, that would make it worth it. And we got in free because of my membership that I have to the art museum here. I have reciprocal membership, so we figured even if we only spent 40 minutes in there, it was probably worth it because it was free. So then we were on to the Conservatory of Flowers. We spent a good chunk of time in there. We both love botanical gardens and conservatories and that kind of thing, so we definitely spent some good time in there. And then in here, I did this one as a digital, this is a digital template, all these tags. I find this one harder to use, so I haven't used it a lot. I think maybe only once before, actually. But here it worked because I had so many different photos that I could drop in there. And then I have lots of floral embellishments, so I just picked out what would match, stuck it on. And then over here, I just made a large cluster to fill up the blank space on the card. And I actually really liked the way that turned out. So this was a different area of the conservatory, and here once again I had so many photos. I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna put them into a collage where I can fit a bunch on there. It came with that saying already in the template, so I didn't even have to mess with it. All I did was put on this little epoxy butterfly embellishment. So I love it when layouts like that are super easy, but they still look good. So I was off to another area here, and I used another epoxy butterfly there. I just happened to have one that was red and white stripes, so it matched. And then I love this layout, just looking at some of the potted flowers that they had in there. And I chose to blow these orchids up to be a 4x8. I love that. Simple embellishment here, a little bit of a 3D embellishment over here, and it has some glitter on it. I did not do that. It comes that way. I could have added more, but I chose not to. And then I just did a simple puffy sticker that was in a matching color, and that worked out well. On our way out to the conservatory, they had this whole desert themed area, and I just loved the look of it. So I chose to put that into a template as well, and I used these stickers down here, and it's kind of hard to see it on camera, but they're actually fuzzy. The surface of them is fuzzy, so a little something different to include there. I don't use that kind of stickers, those kind of stickers all the time, but I had them in my stash, so I figured why not use them. So when we left the Conservatory of Flowers, then our next thing was getting over to the Painted Ladies, the big famous houses. But we had to go through several neighborhoods to get between those two, and I freaking loved it. There were just so many beautiful homes and apartment buildings. Look at this lovely door here. And I happened to have a card that was pretty much made for this. It had the right colors, it had palm trees, like it was very, very tropical, very California coded. Here are some more houses we saw, and again, I just happened to have this sticker in a set that the colors all worked with what we saw, so I wanted to include that as well. I love this doorway. So cool. I love architecture, so this is all fascinating for me. And then here, when we were very close to the Painted Ladies, kind of the next street over, you could look down, and this is what you see. So you see City Hall building like right through there, and we would actually be very close to that later in the day. So it's kind of fun to see it from various angles. And then here are the actual Painted Ladies. These are the most popular here. There's a cross street, and then on the next street over, there are a couple more that are done in that same Queen Anne style in different colors. They are equally beautiful. So if you're over there, make sure you're looking at all of that. And then here's kind of a smaller close-in photo. I chopped off the rest of it because I didn't need it. And I got lucky that I happened to have this ephemera piece. It was part of a digital pack that I bought, and it just was perfect for San Francisco. And then over here, I chose to chop up a tag I had, so there was another part down here. Cut that off, saved it for something else, and I just used this top part with a little enamel dot, and I love the way that turned out. Here's another layout of some of the houses. I love this kind of lavender or orchid colored house. I love the style of it too. It's got a little bit more happening up here than some of the other ones. Plus I just love the color. And I found really cool green paper that matched the house next to that one, so why wouldn't I use it? And then I decided to do a lot of stamping here. So I have 3 places here where I stamped. And then I chose to use, I have a mini brad here. I chose to use another one over here to indicate it was Saturday when we were there rather than circling it. It gave me the chance to bring in more purple over here, which I needed anyway. I felt like the layout kind of didn't have enough on the right side. And then I added this in to help that as well. When we were done with those houses, we were both a little hungry because breakfast had just been that small thing at the museum. So we went and had lunch at a little cafe we found. You can see it says Alamo Square Cafe. So it's just maybe 2.5 blocks from where the Painted Ladies are. So it was quite close. So we got to sit and take a break, and it was very eclectic inside. Very cool little cafe and coffee shop. And this is chipboard. I just happened to have a piece that fit the theme that I was looking for, and then I put a rhinestone on there. And I actually didn't embellish any of the other pictures just because I didn't feel like they needed it. On this side, I picked up 2 postcards in one of the shops that we went into along the way, and so I chose to just put them back to back, but I love them. I thought about like trying to do an actual layout with them, and then I thought, no, they're so large, I'm just going to put them in back to back. And I think that worked out okay. And then I just have like one more neighborhood shot on our way back as we were passing through the area, because I just love the look of the apartment building, and I had a California card that worked. So we were on our way for quite a while. I think it was maybe like a half hour between when we left there back to kind of the central area. All of the civic buildings are down here, and so we got to see this, the City Hall. that's why this kind of gets its own thing. It was super cool. And then this is the Symphony building, which we were going to later that night. So we got to see it in day hours and then at nighttime as well. And here, because there was so much happening, I wanted to keep it simple. So I pulled the orange color from the doors here at City Hall, and I used an orange puffy sticker. I found an orange circle that I was able to just cut off the top and fit in there. And then here I just went with black. It was just easier. Black matches everything. There's black in here. I figured that was the safe way to go. And then on the opposite side here, I have a close-up of City Hall. So there's that door that was in the other picture, but look at all the beautiful detail in here. And I didn't want to detract from that, so I just used one little piece of ephemera over here, and I tried to match the color of the sky, and then I just put in a star. And it's a little hard to see on there, but the stripes on there are actually this color, so it works out well. They matched. And then kind of right at the end of that central area was the Asian Art Museum, and that was on our list too. Got in free there as well, so you know, how would we pass that up when we can get in for free? And I just kept the embellishments minimal here. I had kind of this busy card with a big saying, so I just wanted to do something simple on this label, and I had these alpha stickers. I've had them for a long time, so very happy to use up some of them. And then inside the museum, of course, there's tons to see, but everything's like pretty busy, pretty detailed, so I wanted to keep embellishments and cards really simple. So this one, like all I did was add a sticker up there. Here I added these phrases. That's it, like nothing else on that page. And then over here, because the journaling card had so much text, I decided to just do one strip here to kind of match this item and these, and left it at that. Then we went into another area, and look how elaborate these pieces are. They're so detailed, so ornate and beautiful. So I decided to stick with that theme. I grabbed a chunk of a gold doily I have and used that on there. But again, because it was so busy, I kept things simple in terms of embellishing. So I have this, but then I just put a simple phrase on it. Over here, I used a sticker that had gold foiling around the edge, and I stamped that. So it was very simple, but I think that works with the overall design with everything that's happening in these photos. And this was a 4x8 layout. Since it was smaller, I thought, well, you know what? I think I only want to put one photo on there, and I'll come up with something else. So this photo worked well, and then I happened to have my ticket, which is also a sticker. I had it still with me, and I thought, well, that kind of matches. So this and this color here were perfect. So I just thought, well, then I'm going to use it. So I put that on there. I added a little phrase. You can see some down here. These are all the same color. It's a very, very light blue. It looks white, but it's actually a very light blue. I feel like I needed some color contrast there. So that's why I went with that. And then I did a little white ink splattering. And then over here, again, there's lots of detail. So I kept the embellishments simple. I just went 1, 2, 3. I don't use numbers like that a whole lot, so this is a good way for me to use those up and get them off the sticker sheet. And then a very simple card. I was trying to pick out this color here and here, and I think it worked fairly well. I don't think it's a perfect match, but it's okay. And when we were done there, we went back to our room really quickly to kind of just like drop all the stuff we had picked up, freshen up a little bit, and get ready for dinner and our symphony night. So here's where we had dinner. It was literally like around the corner from where we were staying. We didn't want to have to go too far out of our way. So this worked really well. Journaled about that. And then I think this is the only photo flip I have in this section. So here's what's underneath. This is the back of their business card. It's an Irish pub, so that's very fitting. And I just talked about that right there. And then this was City Hall all lit up when we went back for the evening. And because of this goldish glow here, I thought, well, that's perfect. It's giving me my title without me even having to think about it. So I just put on those letters and called it good. Here is the Symphony building, much, much different than when we saw it all sort of gray and dreary during the day. This is what it looks like at night. So I'm so glad we had tickets to a performance. Otherwise, we may have missed seeing that. And it's beautiful. So I just matched the colors that were in the lights with my little embellishment, and that's it. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. And then here I just cut apart our brochure, or our program. So this was the front of it. I wanted to have that on there. And then this was the lineup for the evening. So I put those on the back, added 2 little pieces of ephemera. And this is the final one, a small 3x8 layout with just 2 pictures from inside, but the symphony hall that they play in, Davies, I think it's called. It is gorgeous on the inside. So I wanted to show that a little bit. And then here they were setting up because part of it was a piano piece. So I got all of that in there. And again, I just added a simple phrase, and that was enough. And now that you have seen all of my day 2 layouts, I hope you'll come back when I start working on day 3. Thanks for watching.